It's all based on emotion. You feel impulsive, you need to have something, you don't even know why you want it. Just because you want it. That's valid. And it helps if I know that. You say, look, honestly, I don't need this. I'm getting caught up with the whole price of RAM and stuff, and it's like, who cares? You obviously have RAM now. Why is it the amount of RAM you had was fine, and now all of a sudden, because the price went up, now you don't have enough? What's going on in the minds of people? Maybe somebody can explain it to me, because the RAM isn't holding your system back. There may be some extreme use case scenarios that somebody says, I run this application, it's very resource intensive and it runs a lot faster with more RAM. Well, if you're dealing at that level, if you refuse to smoke cheap cigars and all you want are the finest cigars, as long as you have the wallet to pay for it, who's complaining about the price? Because if you actually need it, the price doesn't matter. You understand? Nobody's saying you can't have RAM. Have as much RAM as you want, but do you need it? Because if you're just complaining about the price because it's not fulfilling a personal emotional need, I can't help you with that. It's just a lot cheaper for you to just get over it. It's like, it doesn't matter. The amount of RAM you have right now is doing you just fine. You don't need any more. You haven't needed any more. And stop believing all the nonsense online, and stop believing that it's not possible to get it. You can still get it. Oh, I can't afford it. Well, I can't afford a Rolls Royce, so I don't have a Rolls Royce. Life is pretty simple. Nobody owes me a Rolls Royce. If I really, really, really needed a Rolls Royce, I'll find a way to get one. I promise you, the price isn't the thing holding me back. It's a very interesting psychological experiment that if you take somebody and put them in a classroom to learn another language, they may struggle for years, and when they're graduated, that class still aren't very fluent in that foreign language. But if you blindfold them and parachute them out of a plane into a foreign country where they don't speak the language, I'll bet you they'll be speaking that language within 3 to 4 weeks. They'll have at least the same level of knowledge in the 3 to 4 weeks of the ability to communicate as they did in the classroom for 2 or 3 years. You see, necessity and need can make you do things and capable of doing things because you have to. You won't feel like I can never learn to speak the language until I sign up for school. You need to eat. You need to use a bathroom. You need to be able to communicate, and you will find a way, and you will learn that language quick because your survival depends on it. And it's amazing what a human being can do when they have no choice. So there's those who want, and there's those who need. And those who need will always find a way. And it's not about the price that's holding them back. It's up here that's holding you back. And so the question is, differentiating a want and a need. How do I know if I want it versus I need it? Well, do you have it? Nope, then you don't need it. Because if you needed it, you'd find a way. That's it. I'm not talking about a kidney, okay? I'm talking about materialistic consumer goods. If you're using your computer at such a high level, you must make some good money. And if you're using that computer to make money, the more you invest in it, the more money you could make. If I drive a car for Uber and I have a basic car, I only get paid a basic amount of money. The nicer my car is, the more it costs me for that car, but the more I get paid for driving that car. If I have a limousine, then instead of seating 2 or 3 people, now I can seat 12 people. I can make 12 times the amount of money on the same trip. Do you want a limousine? Do you need a limousine? Because if you're using it to earn money, why wouldn't you want to make 12 times the same amount, 12 times the current amount of money to basically do the same trips? If you're picking somebody up at the airport in a taxi, or you're picking them up in an Uber, or you're picking them up in a limo, there's 3 different prices. And the driver of the limo makes more than the driver of the taxi or the driver of the Uber. Period. So it might make sense for you to buy a limo as an investment to your own career. But to just have a limo because you want one, that's a luxury, emotional. If you can afford it, knock yourself out. Nothing wrong with that. But if you can't afford it, don't whine and cry like you're being left out. We're all being left out, and somehow we all get along just fine without it. We're living in a world of such demands and gluttony that, God forbid, somebody doesn't get something, they throw a tantrum like a child. I want that useless piece of plastic, as Dana Carvey would say. Buy me that useless piece of plastic. Man, if that's what gets you things. But when you're willing to put the work and make the sacrifice, there's no limits to what you can own. And if it really means a lot to you, you'll find a way. And if you're using it to earn a living, you'll do it because you have to and you don't have a choice. That's all I'm trying to say. This whole idea that people think they need more RAM all of a sudden makes me wonder, how have they been getting along this whole time? This whole time. And they woke up one morning and saw RAM prices were high and said, damn it, I was going to buy RAM. You probably don't need it. If you needed it, you would have already bought it. Somebody can want whatever they want. I don't care. But when they go on the internet and they whine as though they're a victim and the world isn't fair, are you new here? When was the world ever fair? And what you want versus what you need. If you're saying to me, I'm diabetic and I need insulin and I can't afford it, that is a legitimate thing to voice your concern about. I need to eat and I can't afford food. But I wanted red sneakers and I've got blue sneakers and now I'm going to cry on the internet about it. You see the difference, right? You see how annoying that is? Where it's like a spoiled child crying and whining over something that doesn't matter. It only matters to them. It doesn't matter to anyone else. So guess what? It doesn't matter to me. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not being mean. This is the world. You ever seen how wild animals, any other animal other than a human being, lives out in the safari in Africa? Have you seen a gazelle taken down by an alligator? Eaten while it's still alive and dying, torn apart because it was just slower than all the other gazelles? Do you live on the same planet? That's all I'm saying. So you're not going to get any sympathy, and nor should you, in my opinion, in my book, think that you're somehow victimized because you can't afford something. I could come up here every day and tell you how unfair it is that the price of a Rolls Royce is so expensive I can't afford it and it's not fair. At what point are you going to get sick of hearing it? Because it's one of the dumbest complaints in life. How tough is your life that that's your biggest problem is you don't have a Rolls Royce? There's people out there with real problems that is so disrespectful to me. I don't even know what else to say. And I don't think it's being mean. It's just disgusting behavior. There could be some speed benefits to adding RAM depending on if you're on the applications you're using, right? Maybe you're playing games. Those are expensive. Playing games is expensive. It means you have more time and more money than I do. I love to play games. If I could afford it and if I had the time, I would love to play games. But I also like to eat and pay the bills. So, you know what I mean? Call me jealous. I wish somebody else would pay my bills. And then I would just play games all day. What a great use for my valuable time here on the planet to contribute to society by selfishly engaging in a pretend land like I'm 12. That's fine. Nothing wrong with it. It's not right for me. I feel like my life should have more purpose. And just because you're gaming doesn't mean that's all you do. There's nothing wrong with gaming from time to time. But that also means you've got the money for that. Video cards and games and the troubleshooting of getting the game to run. That doesn't pay my bills. If it did, I'd be doing it. I got nothing against it. You know what else doesn't pay my bills? You can use your imagination. So if I have to put money into something that isn't going to, that significant amount of money, and all it's doing is creating debt and keeping me distracted, that's fine. If you go into the movies or something, entertainment's fine. But when you want to have your own game system and you want it to run 4K resolution and you want to play the latest AAA titles, it all adds up. We want fancy monitors and fancy speakers and fancy headset and a fast internet connection and an expensive router that's, you know, low latency and all this other stuff. Man, if you got the time and the money, have at it. And if it's something you only do 2 hours a day, but you can still make that kind of investment for just 2 hours a day, you are much, much better off financially than I am. That's all I'm trying to say. If that made me money, I'll be here talking about it all day. So if you want to know what it's like to be in this business and to be in computer repair, you're not going to be doing a lot with gaming systems, liquid coolers, RGB, or overclocking. No. Not generally. There's always exceptions, but generally that's a pretty tough niche to fill.